On September the 7th, 1812, two great armies gathered on the fields near a small Russian village called Borodino. It was just west of Moscow. Napoleon's troops advanced from the west, while Russian forces dug in to face them. History would remember the subsequent Battle of Borodino as one of the bloodiest single days of combat in the Napoleonic Wars, the moment that the French invasion of Russia began to unravel. A half a century later, Leo Tolstoy, a veteran of war himself, sat down to write about that event. What fascinated him wasn't the troop movements or the heroics, it was the chaos. No one on the field, Tolstoy mused, could say exactly when the battle began. There was no single trumpet blast that started it, no clear moment when one side's will clashed with the other's. By the time the first cannon was fired, the battle had already been unfolding through weeks of maneuvers and orders and misjudgments and fears, tiny decisions that accumulated until the outcome felt inevitable. That insight became one of War and Peace's central arguments. History does not unfold in discrete moments. As Tolstoy put it, the movement of humanity proceeding from innumerable wills is continuous. Tolstoy wrote that the clean lines that we draw on a war starting on one day or a revolution beginning on another are fictions that we create to make chaos feel comprehensible. In truth, history is far less a series of events than it is a collection of small things happening, some of them almost imperceptible, all of them converging into what we later call an event or a moment. Now, this idea has personal meaning for me because more than a century ago, my great-grandfather was a small businessman in South Africa. He was a practical man who worked hard, kept his head down, and sought stability above all else. His friend, Mohandas Gandhi, was the opposite. Gandhi was, by 1907, a troublemaker. This little man constantly challenging the authority of the British Empire, refusing to accept the unjust world as it was. Their friendship was deep, but grew uneasy. When Gandhi invited my great-grandfather's 7-year-old son, my grandfather, to live and study at his ashram in South Africa, my great-grandfather hesitated. He admired Gandhi's ideals, but he also valued peace. He didn't want his young son swept up in what he saw as unnecessary upheaval and the risky business of poking the powers that be. That ashram, that commune, was called Tolstoy Farm. This is a picture of it. It was named for the Russian writer whose moral philosophy shaped Gandhi's ideas about truth and nonviolence. Gandhi's aim on Tolstoy Farm was to teach young minds to conquer hate by love, untruth by truth, violence by self-sacrifice. Tolstoy Farm was less of a school than it was a living laboratory of conscience, an experiment in how small acts of ethical and moral courage practiced daily could build the foundations of a just society. In the end, my grandfather relented, like everyone else did to Gandhi. My grandfather became Gandhi's youngest student at the commune. There he learned that moral strength rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It isn't forged in grand gestures, but rather in the quiet willingness to be uncomfortable in pursuit of what is right. Tolstoy once offered a metaphor about how social and political decline unfolds. Quote, "When an apple has ripened and falls, why does it fall? Is it because of its attraction to the earth? Because the stalk withers? Because it's dried by the sun? Because it grows heavy? Or because the boy standing below wants to eat it? Nothing is the cause. The cause of the fall of the apple is that the stalk can no longer hold it up." End quote. Now, from up close, the fruit never looks like it's about to drop. It seems secure, perhaps a little heavier, but still holding. And when it does fall, we describe it as sudden, even though it was inevitable all along that that apple would fall. In nature, the fall is a kind of a fulfillment, a natural conclusion of growth. But in human affairs, in democracy, we can take no such comfort. The fall of democracy is not a law of nature. It's the result of human neglect, the failure of stewardship. Democracies rarely collapse in a single blow. They weaken gradually as the support that sustains them, trust, accountability, shared responsibility, begin to fray. And here's where Tolstoy's warning matters the most. The real danger is not in the falling. It's in our tendency to wait for a single dramatic signal that makes the danger undeniable. While we wait, history continues to unfold around us. The signs are often small and rarely seem connected. An arrest here, a court ruling there, an obscure norm bent, a shrug of exhaustion. None feel decisive in the moment until suddenly they are. And it's happening now as we speak. We are not spectators to democracy. We are democracy's authors. Its survival depends not on one great act of defiance, but on 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000 small ones. Some easy, some uncomfortable, all necessary. Tolstoy's lesson is that decline becomes destiny only if we fail to respond. The question before us is whether we can see the fraying in time to act, and whether together we are willing to plant what must come next. Democracy, like any living thing, does not survive by resisting change. It survives by cultivating growth, by renewing itself through the virtues of truth, accountability, and collective stewardship. It is not the collapse of any one apple that will determine our fate. It's whether we recognize the bigger moment we're in and choose to nurture the conditions for democracy to rise again.